police received word that she would be visiting Australia and detained her as she stepped off the aircraft this morning. Reporters were not told what she was charged with, but popular belief is that it's a drug-related offence.
I think we'd all work that out for ourselves.
Shut up.
Dear. Oh, it's cheap sensation.
Awfully quiet.
Rubbish.
Racketeer Lionel Fellows in the mid-70s. She then climbed the social ladder and married Arnie Ballinger, who police say controls 90% of worldwide drug...
I gave Ferguson a severe lecture about her behaviour, pointed out where she went wrong and what we expect of her in the future. Told her she'd been reinstated, and, well, I expect her to return to duty very shortly.
You must have been very persuasive.
Just a matter of knowing how to handle a woman.
You can give me the date of when she'll be returning, then.
No, of course not. That's up to her doctors. However, that's not the reason for my being here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were busy. I'll come back later.
No, don't go. You might as well hear this, too. I was just about to tell Mrs. Reynolds that we have a new prisoner. Bit of a celebrity. Ruth Ballinger.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. I read the newspaper reports of her arrest.
Her husband's the boss of the big drug syndicate, isn't he?
She tried to sneak back into Australia to visit her parents and was arrested on drug charges.
I believe she flew in from South America in her private jet.
Well, that's where he runs his empire from.
Yes, but it's a worldwide organisation. Arnie Ballinger's responsible for about 80% of all drug trafficking.
The federal police are very pleased to have got hold of his wife. Now, while she is on remand here, they're going to try and extract some information from her in return for her release.
I'm not sure Wentworth's the right place for her in that case.
Ruth Ballinger is no ordinary prisoner. She's to be treated with kid gloves, given everything she requires.
Everything?
Within reason, of
I'm
course.
not going to start playing favourites. The other women
Mrs.
won't
Reynolds,
stand for it.
this is not a request, it's an order.
You're asking me to create a
No,
different set of
I'm
rules.
not
Well,
asking you. I'm telling you.
Ruth Ballinger will be arriving soon. I want everyone to understand the situation.
Well, I've told all available staff to assemble here at 2:15 for that meeting you wanted.
Thanks.
How did they manage to nab her?
Perhaps they were tipped off about her arrival. Anyway, when she landed, she was found in possession of heroin.
But the paper said that she's insisting that the federal police planted it on her.
Oh, she's hardly likely to admit to anything, is she?
Well, whatever happened, the federal police are determined to smash her husband's organisation.
Oh, well, they've been after him for years. I mean, he's a multi-millionaire and has earned every cent from drug trafficking, international crime and extortion.
Well, and getting his wife is the first bit of luck they've had, I suppose.
Exactly, and they're going to use it, too.
She's a very attractive woman, used to living in the lap of luxury.
Well, luxury she won't be seeing again unless she gives them the information they want.
All of which places us in a very tricky situation.
What's her husband's name again?
Arnie, isn't it? Arnie Ballinger?
Yes, that's it. The paper said he doesn't think twice about having people bumped off if they get in his way, I mean.
Or his wife's.
Yes, exactly. And if he hears she's having a bad time here, we could be next on his hit list.
I wouldn't get too worried if I were you. I've had orders from the department she's to be given special treatment.
Like what?
Anything she wants, within reason.
Well, that could cause some problems. Well, what are the others going to think when they see her getting privileges they don't have?
I don't like it any more than you do, but that's the way it's got to be.
Got a new remand prisoner for you, Mrs. Ballinger.
You're expecting her, we understand.
Oh, yes. And you are?
Federal Police.
Oh, I see.
Her papers.
Oh, thank you. Now, Mrs. Ballinger.
I presume I'll be able to have my luggage in my room.
Well, it's not
I'm sure
customary-
you'll be able to arrange it for me, won't you? Your name is?
Barry? Mrs. Barry?
And I'd like you to take special care of my coat. Mink needs careful handling, as I'm sure you know.
Oh, yes, of course. We'll have to hold all your jewellery here, I'm afraid.
Naturally. It wouldn't be safe for me to wear it in a place like this now, would it?
No. Oh, what a beautiful ring.
Yes, it is quite nice. The diamonds come from my husband's mine near our estate in South America. You have it, Mrs. Barry.
Oh, no.
Oh, please, I'm tired of it anyway.
Better be careful, Mrs. Barry. That could be construed as an attempt to bribe an officer.
Oh, really? I was just looking at it.
So, although we've got no option but to go along with the directives about Ruth Ballinger, I'm determined her being here is not going to cause more problems.
Well, we've got all the elements for trouble. I mean, the tougher discipline.
Except for one privileged prisoner.
Oh, and resentment of that from the other women.
And what happens when Joan gets back? She has been known to go over the top as far as discipline is
I'll be
concerned.
making it quite clear to Miss Ferguson what the limits are.
Oh, look, I didn't mean to suggest
I know what
that
you
didn't.
meant. But what's worrying me more than Joan's return is the fact that the women are bored as well as restless.
Well, that often happens when their friends are released. When they start to remember what they're missing on the outside.
Exactly, that's my point. And that's why I want to start up the activity programs again.
Oh, I think that's a knockout idea. Well, the Borstal lads I used to work with back home came up with some great things.
Like what?
Well, one group of lads actually built a canoe, for instance, yeah, from scratch. It cost a pretty penny, mind you.
Yes, and that's the trouble. I've already spoken to Mr. Fry, and he's not willing to come up with any extra money for materials. Well, I can't see our women wanting to build canoes anyway. No, but they've done some very creative things in the past.
Well, even Len Murphy's classes gave Bobby Mitchell a good start when she was released.
It's true. Yes, but I don't want to make it sound too educational. I mean, there are all sorts of things we could do that aren't going to cost any money.
I used to run a general knowledge class at Borstal. I could try that again. Well, it sounds a bit daft, I know, but even the thick ones used to get a buzz out of it when they got an answer right.
Oh, well, could you start organising that, Ben?
Right.
Let's hope the women are interested.
Not quite the Savoy, but I'm sure I'll be able to make myself comfortable.
I'll have to ask you to unpack the suitcases and then they'll be put in the store.
Yes, well, there doesn't seem anywhere here to store them, does there? Not much wardrobe space either.
I'll be taking you to see the governor shortly.
How very social.
In the meantime, you should make your bed and get yourself organised.
Make my bed. Well, that'll be a trip down memory lane.
Oh, and here's the rule book. You want to read that?
Of course. We must stick to the rules, mustn't we?
Well, I'll be back shortly.
Thank you, Mrs. Barry. Hello. Come in. Come on, I won't bite you. And who are you?
I'm Julie. Julie Egbert.
I'm Ruth Ballinger.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I thought you were just...
Another prisoner? I suppose I am, really.
But you're famous. I mean, you've been in the papers and everything.
And you've been talking about me, have you?
The others were, I heard them.
And who are they?
Well, there's Auntie May. She's not really my auntie, but we all call her that, and Willie. They're all right. And Daphne's fun. Sometimes she is. And Nora.
They're your friends, are they?
Well, there's some others, but I don't know them very well yet.
Why's that?
We haven't been here very long, you see.
You're new like me, are you?
Well, sort of. Except they sent us from Barnhurst a few days ago.
What's a young girl like you doing in prison?
Oh, well, I sort of stole some money. A couple of times. To help me mum. And they caught me,
That's bad luck.
I suppose. Put me away for 5 years.
That's a long time. What are the staff like, Julie?
Well, don't know them properly yet. Seem all right so far.
Thank you for talking to me, Julie. I'm sure we're going to be very good friends.
Governor will see you now, Mrs. Ballinger.
Thank you. I thought you'd forgotten me.
What are you doing here, Egbert? On skip duty, aren't you?
Sorry, Mrs. Barry.
I thought I said you should make your bed.
So you did. But I thought it would be a little bit more sensible in the long run to wait until I'd seen Mrs. Reynolds.
I want you to understand that in spite of the special circumstances, I expect you to obey the rules.
Of course.
I presume you've read the rule book?
No. No, I haven't.
You were given one?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Barry made quite sure of that. But I had to settle in, you see. Look, Mrs. Reynolds, why don't we stop playing games? You know as well as I do I'm not really here on a drug charge. I'm here because the authorities want to get some of my husband's associates, and they're hoping I'll name some names for
It's
them.
not a subject
I'm not against cooperating, but I was told I'd be made very comfortable here, and I don't think my cell could be described as comfortable by any stretch of the imagination.
There's little I can do about that, I'm afraid.
Oh, but I think there is. That cell of mine is very small. I'm sure you can find me something larger. And I know I shan't be able to sleep in that little cot. I need a new bed. A double one with a bedside table
is
would make an enormous
ridiculous.
difference. And an armchair, a reading lamp, and some extra hanging space for my
Ballinger,
clothes.
you don't seem to understand.
A television would begin to make life
This
bearable.
is a
wouldn't it?
prison. I cannot possibly make exceptions like that.
Perhaps you would contact the federal police, speak to Whittaker, tell him what I need, and tell him I'm prepared to pay, of course.
I'm sorry.
It stands to reason, doesn't it? They want me to cooperate with them, so they should start cooperating with me. I feel sure you'll see my point.
I'm also sure the department will refuse your demands.
We'll see now, won't we?
Pits, I don't believe it.
Oh, it's got to be a joke.
Cup and eye full of this lot.
So, what is it? You mean Rena didn't ask your permission before she came up with the idea? I told you it was slipping, Desmond.
Oh, it's educational classes and activities.
Dressmaking.
Yeah, they want to make sure you're presentable next time you escape.
Some of them look quite interesting.
Ah, general knowledge quizzes with Crookshank and basic cookery with Merv the Perv.
Yeah, I reckon he gets enough chances to poison us as it is.
There's
Yeah,
typing
right.
and shorthand, and there's pottery.
Who asked you, fish face?
First aid.
Yeah. I reckon the top dog deserves first go at giving the freak the kiss of love.
Kelly, or you'll be needing first aid.
Oh, real tough, Desmond, but...
Hello. Hello, Julie.
Hello. Do you want a seat?
Thank you. What happens now?
Oh, nothing much. We just sort of sit round till tea.
Sounds exciting.
Is it true like they say in the papers? That you know all them famous movie stars?
Well, let's say some, not all.
Who was your favourite?
Oh, dear, that's a difficult one.
I suppose you've been to Switzerland on your travels?
Oh, yes, I have. We used to try to get there for the season, or for at least a few days. Do you know it?
I went to school there, actually.
Really?
I bet you've been to all the gambling casinos, haven't you?
I have been known to make a bet. Look, is there someone I should talk to? The boss or the top dog, if my memory serves me correctly?
That's me. The name is Myra Desmond. And as an educated lady, you probably know what the word patronising means.
Oh, dear. Is that what I was being? I certainly didn't intend
Glad to hear it.
I have no desire to upset anyone. Particularly as I don't expect to be here for very long.
That's good. Jill, introduce Mrs. Ballinger around, would you?
That thermometer at the grain pinched.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as they find it missing, there's bound to be a cell search, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
I reckon we could use it. Get a bit of our own back on. You know who? These searches are getting a bit boring.
Yeah.
Wonder what they'll turn up this time.
Ballinger, the department's agreed to all your requests.
I thought they would, Mrs. Reynolds. Thanks for your help.
There was no help from me, and don't expect any further considerations.
Geez, what's going on in here?
Hello there. Lexi, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. What are you doing in here? We expecting more arrivals or something.
Not that I know of. They've moved me in here because I need more room.
Yeah? Well, you better get this mess cleaned up or the screws will come down real heavy on you.
I shan't lose any sleep over it. Come in. There's no need to stand in the doorway.
Thanks. But I'm not joking. The screws lay you on a charge in no time for this lot.
So what? They made the mess, they can clean it up.
Look, but the governor's playing it by the book these days and she's really tough with her charges. Look, I'll help you clean up, okay?
Thank you. Is there any reason for this strict discipline? Or is Wentworth always like this?
Nah, used to be really good, but... Wow, you've got some great gear.
One has to have something to wear, even in a place like this.
Oh, I don't know how you do it, but... Jeez, look at all that makeup.
Do you like some?
Eh?
Take one of those lipsticks. I've got more than enough.
You sure?
Absolutely.
What's the catch?
There isn't one.
There's got to be. What do you want for it?
Nothing. If you want it, it's yours.
Tell you what, how about we cut for them?
There's no need. I'd like to give it to you.
No, this way. We don't know each other, nothing.
Very well. However, as it is my lipstick, I think I should be the one to shuffle.
Oh, but
Don't
I
you? Take a card.
That should be pretty hard to beat.
Do you think so? That was a very clumsy attempt at stacking the deck, my sweet. I was playing games like those long before you were born. You should have taken the lipstick while you still had the chance. Sorry, but I find politics boring at the best of times.
So you won't help me?
No. It's menial power play. Was there anything else?
Well,
I can only say no.
Yeah, well, look, I know you're not going to be inside for long. I mean, they're going to drop the charge against you. Or someone will organise an escape.
You do have a vivid imagination. Go on.
Well, I just figured I could be of some use to you. I mean, if you had to escape, for instance.
Nothing that drastic will happen.
You never know. I broke out of here once. But I didn't have the connections to get out of the country.
Now you have.
I just figured I could be of some use to you and your old man if you...
His name is Mr. Ballinger, and I will not have him referred to as my old man. Do you understand? People have disappeared without a trace for much less. Don't you even think about it. Cigarette?
Yeah, thanks.
Let me make one point quite clear. I don't make deals. I don't need to. I don't need any help either inside or outside. However, if I should decide to make use of your services and talents, I'll be the one to decide how and when. Understood? Sure. Position for you. As you can see, this room's a mess. I'm afraid that when it comes to cleaning, I'm all thumbs and thumbs. Here, this is for you.
Me? Why, what do you mean?
It's quite simple, really. I would really appreciate it for someone to do those little things for me.
What, like clean up your cell?
Yeah. And queuing up for meal times, and a few other little things that I'm quite hopeless at.
I'll do that for you. I don't want any payment for it.
I beg your pardon?
I'll do it anyway. You don't have to pay me. Here, you take back.
No. No, you keep it. Don't think of it as a payment. Think of it simply as something from me to you. All right?
Oh, thanks.
Well, you two better hurry up and get dressed if you don't want to miss out on breakfast.
Come in, officer.
Well, I've not got time to chat. If you want anything to eat, you better hurry up.
Dennis.
I beg your pardon? Officer Crookshank to you.
All right, Officer Crookshank. Do you know where my baggage is?
I wouldn't know.
Well, you should. They are the terms of my incarceration here.
You'll be informed when they arrive.
Tell me, Mr. Crookshank, how much do you earn a year? 15,000, 20,000, 25,000?
It's got nothing to do with you.
And then there's taxation, isn't there? That doesn't leave very much.
What are you getting at?
Damn, I've smudged it. Nothing? It's just that if you were to help me out from time to time, you'd be in a position to increase your salary incredibly. Visit your family in England. I'm sure you miss them terribly.
I don't take bribes.
I'm not offering any. Simply payment for services rendered. That's better. Will you oblige me?
You may have enough power to pull any strings you want, but I'm not one of your puppets, Catch. If you want any breakfast, get dressed.
Right. That's it then.
That isn't what I think it is.
Colour TV set. Fine here, thanks.
Madam Ballinger's requisites.
This is ridiculous. How on earth can I be expected to maintain discipline and order amongst the other prisoners when she's getting this kind of treatment? Just once, I would like to be allowed to do my job without interference.
Morning, Mr. Reynolds.
Is it?
Crikey. Has somebody bought out a warehouse?
Ruth Ballinger must be a very powerful woman.
Oh, and as slippery as a nail to boot. You won't believe this, but she just tried to bribe me. Aye. And she did it in such a clever way, I wouldn't be able to prove a thing.
Morning, Mrs. Slattery. Mr. Crookshank.
For a short time, then Ballinger will be gone and things will return to normal.
Will they?
Of course.
I doubt it. In the meantime, I can expect all kinds of trouble from the other women over this special treatment Ballinger's getting.
You'll manage.
On top of that, Joan Ferguson reported for work this morning.
Good, good.
It is a disaster. Anything could happen. I don't want her here. Transfer her to Barnhurst. I know there's a vacancy there.
I'll do no such thing. Ferguson stays here, and that's that.
Hi, just came to get your dirty linen.
There, that's clearer. What do you think?
Wow, it's a damn sight better than the one in the rec room. Look, how'd you manage to get all this stuff?
Well, the federal police want certain information from me.
Yeah, what kind?
On organised crime. And if I can con them into believing I'll give it to them, they'll give me anything I want.
Oh, good for you. What a ripper.
It is, isn't it? Just wait till they hear my next request.
Oh, what is it?
Right then, that's the lot.
Thank you.
Well, get on with your work, Patterson.
Before you go, Lexi, you can take those sheets. I have no need of them. The good officer Cruikshanks bought my new satin sheets.
Satin sheets? Unreal.
Come on, hurry.
Dennis.
I told you before.
I'm sorry. I mean Mr. Cruikshank.
Well?
There is one more tiny thing that I need. I'd like you to relay it to Mrs. Reynolds for me.
Ah, Miss Ferguson, glad to see you back on your feet.
Sure you are.
Yes, it's good to see an officer of your caliber back on the team.
Really? I was under the impression that neither you nor the governor would have cared less if I died on the operating table. Morning.
Excuse me, Governor. Could I have a word?
Certainly.
Yes, well, I shan't detain you any longer. Keep in mind what I said about Ballinger.
Sorry, Mrs. Reynolds, but it's Ballinger again. She has another request.
I don't believe it. What is it this time?
A telephone in a cell.
But
With a private outside line.
she wants that, does she?
Well, what shall I tell her?
No, not under any circumstances. Request denied.
Hey, cop this. Big front page article about Ruth Ballinger's arrest and her husband's attitude.
Here, I'll trade you 2 cigarettes for the paper.
Why not? Dumb deal. Not my paper anyhow.
Do you see what I mean? There's always someone around ready to take advantage of my good nature.
What are you doing in here?
Nothing. I was just having a look round.
With whose permission?
No one's.
I see.
Mrs. Ballinger won't mind.
Won't she?
No.
I'm sure she won't mind if you steal something either.
No, I mean, look, I wasn't going to steal nothing.
Weren't you?
No.
Then what's that you got in your hand?
I was just looking at it, honest.
I'm sure you were.
I'm telling the truth.
Give it here. We'll let the governor decide that, but I'm quite sure that you will be on a charge.
Good morning. Lexi, that isn't your colour. I told you which one to take.
Eh?
Here. This matches your lip colour perfectly.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. Can I go now?
No. You just wait there.
Is there a problem?
There could be. I caught her snooping in here. She was about to steal that bottle of polish.
I doubt it. There was no need. I'd already offered her anyone she wanted.
So she had your permission,
Absolutely.
Right. Get going, Patterson.
Just a moment. Wait for me. Otherwise we'll both be late for lunch. Here. I think this is your colour.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I owe you one. Not many people can put over on the freak like that.
Thank you, Daphne.
You're welcome. When you gave her that nail polish in it.
He was actually a magician, but there wasn't a thing he didn't know about cards.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me a moment. Excuse me, William. May I have the paper?
I haven't finished reading it yet.
Perhaps just the front page?
I was just getting to that. I always leave the news till last.
Let her have the paper. You're not a bit interested in politics.
How would you know? You never get past the comics.
Perhaps we'll trade something for it.
Now, why didn't I think of that?
How about some nail polish?
Deal.
Thank you.
You just can't help yourself, can you?
What do you mean?
Well, that paper wasn't yours. You had no right to barter for it.
Yes, I did. You saw me pay Kelly for it, so therefore it was my property, wasn't it? It was my
honestly,
property. I have a perfect right.
Geez, it's a bit heavy, isn't it?
I don't think so.
But it says your husband reckons the Australian government framed you to get at him.
Which is correct.
But he's left you holding the bag.
No, he hasn't.
But it says there he's not coming back to Australia to get you out. Now, I mean, I might be a bit stupid, but in my book, that's called left holding the bag.
The article also says that I wouldn't expect him to. He'll arrange something.
And what if he doesn't?
He will.
Hello, Nora, dear. You feeling any better?
Hello, Nora. Not good. Not good. He's still sick.
Mr. Cruikshank, I've been waiting to see you since this morning.
Oh, have you? What for?
Surely you haven't forgotten my little request. the telephone with a private line?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Well, when will it be installed?
It won't. The request was denied.
Your reputation has preceded you, Mr. Costello. Very wise of you to meet me out here.
I didn't want to take any risks in your case.
Why you? James Lamont has handled my arrest and committal. Is he still to be on my case as well?
No, your husband felt that I was better qualified.
Arnold sent you. Personally?
Yes. He has some specific instructions for you.
Can you prove that Arnold sent you?
Well, he told me you were sharp. I'm to tell you that the small scar he has on his left shoulder was caused by you.
I'm satisfied.
I suppose you're aware that your arrest was no accident, that the authorities engineered the whole thing?
Yes, I know that.
I don't foresee any difficulties in having you cleared, but while I'm doing that, I'm afraid you'll have to stay here until the trial.
But that could take months. Can't I get bail?
I've tried, but there seems to be a deal of resistance. Anyway, your husband's instructions are that you should stay here. He does apologize for the inconvenience.
I'm sure he does. Never mind. I have managed to make myself somewhat comfortable here.
Good. Certain associates of your husband are a little concerned as to what you might say to the authorities.
There is no need for concern. I have absolutely no intention of telling them anything.
Ah, well, you see, that's just the point. Your husband and these associates find that there is a small number of, shall we say, minor people for whom they have no further use. His instructions are that you reveal their names and any other information I pass on to you about them at irregular intervals. That should keep everybody happy, especially the police.
Is that all?
Until I contact you again. Don't worry about anything, Mrs. Ballinger. Money speaks all languages. I guarantee you won't be convicted.
I'll hold you to that.
Left out here all alone, look after yourselves. I'm here.
It's not you we're after. Or your husband. We want the people who run the Australian end.
Particularly the business types and legal people.
What if I could give you all that? What would I get?
We could make it more comfortable in here for you.
Seems to me I've already been promised that. And I'm not very impressed with the results. Yesterday morning I asked for a telephone and was told it was out of the question.
Reckon we could do something about that. If it was worth our while.
Listen, gentlemen, from where I'm sitting, this is a seller's market. And it's starting to look like you can't meet the price. So you better decide how important my information is to you while you've still got the chance.
You can't be serious. A private phone line in her cell.
Don't worry, it won't be your responsibility.
Everything
We'll
that
arrange it.
happens in this prison is my responsibility, whether I like it or not. I've already told her she can't have a phone. What do you think it does to my authority to have you coming in here overruling me?
As far as anyone need know, it's your decision.
I'll know it's not my decision, and so will Ballinger.
Whatever else she may be, she's not stupid. And she's certainly not the type to gloat about it.
That is not the issue, and you know it.
This would be as much to our advantage as hers. We'll have a tap on the line. We could pick up some very useful information.
You've just told me yourself she's not stupid. She'll take it for granted the phone's bugged. She's not going to tell you anything she doesn't want you to know.
Maybe. But before long, she's going to be getting very lonely. I think that phone will have a lot of use. Sooner or later, she'll let something slip.
Apart from which, in return for the phone, she's agreed to give us some concrete information. To name some names.
But the point
Mrs. Reynolds, it's going to happen. And if you are not prepared to cooperate, I am prepared to talk to your superiors.
Well, obviously you'll do what you'll do. But I could still make it difficult for you.
It really would be better all round if you didn't try.
Up to you. I'm prepared, reluctantly, to cooperate. But there will be limitations.
Daphne.
Yeah?
Oh, nothing's wrong, is it?
No, that's why I stopped you, to tell you what a good job you've done of cleaning my room again this morning.
Oh, that's all right. I like doing it.
There must be something I can give you in return.
No, honest, I like doing it. I really do. Look, I've got to get back to the kitchen. Mr. Crookshank told me not to
Oh,
be
yes,
too
Mr. Crookshank. He seems a decent type.
Yeah.
Is he as lily-white as he makes out?
What?
I've always thought that people in that sort of position can be bought. It's just a matter of finding the right price.
Oh, I don't know. He's nice. Oh, that Miss Ferguson, though. You know, the things they say about her, nothing would surprise me.
What sort of things do they say?
Oh, just how mean she can get. She gives me the creeps. You know, she reminds me of one of them big, black, ugly caterpillars that go around eating flowers like they can't stand to see anything beautiful in the world.
Yeah, I suppose you could describe it like that. You like flowers, don't you?
Oh, yeah, more than anything. I reckon in a garden's the loveliest place you could ever want to be. I think I'd be happy if I could do nothing else in my life but plant flowers and look after them. I had a butte garden at Barnhurst. Oh, we had to leave that when I came here. Look, I gotta go because I saw Miss Ferguson before, and if she catches me here, I'm going to be in real trouble, okay? See ya.
Right. We certainly mustn't upset Miss Ferguson, must we?
Half a dozen love comics.
What condition?
Oh, like new.
They are not. They're all torn and ratty. I wouldn't use them for loo paper. You make it a dozen, and I might think about it.
I don't believe it. All this fuss over a bottle of department store nail polish.
Wait till you've been in here for a while. You'll believe it.
How about?
Buy-up goes on things you need. Only time you see that sort of stuff is when you get visitors who bring in presents. It doesn't happen very often. Even you might be surprised to see how quickly your friends drop you now that you're inside.
You're to be permitted to have a phone in your cell as requested.
Yes.
If I were you, I wouldn't get too smug about it just yet.
Was I being smug? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. When will it be installed?
I've no idea. It has nothing at all to do with me.
I'm disappointed that you're taking this attitude. The fact that the department finds my comfort more important than your ego is
The
hardly...
privilege will be discontinued if you fail to observe the following condition. The phone will have a lock. You'll be supplied with a key. No other prisoner will be permitted to use it. If anyone's found doing so, you will be held responsible, and I will personally see you punished with a spell in solitary. Is that understood?
Well, I'm curious to know what makes you think you can impose such conditions.
The fact that I'm in charge of this prison.
Here's a list of some of the things I still require, including some food. The stuff you serve in here is inedible.
You really expect me to let you have all this?
I'm sure you'll be kind enough to pass it on to your superiors. Was there anything else you wanted to talk to me about? Well, I don't know what it is, whether it's the food or just being there in the city itself. But there's something about having breakfast in Paris, even if it's just croissant and coffee, there's pure magic.
What and coffee?
Croissants. You know, those little buns that you bake fresh for breakfast?
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't you just love fresh bread? You know, when I was growing up, we lived down the road from a bakery, and I'd go mad some nights when the wind was blowing our way.
Hey, yeah, I know what you mean. We used to live next door to a gym where all these boxers and wrestlers would work out, and the smell of the sweat and the liniment.
Yeah. Gee, shut up! Had you really live in Paris?
For a while. But Arnie and I used to fly there in our private jet, just to have a meal in one of our most favourite restaurants.
Your own jet plane?
Well, it was quite small.
Oh, boy, I bet you miss it now, eh?
I don't mind, as long as I can keep in contact with Arnie and some of my closer friends. And the phone makes quite sure of that.
I hardly think they'll let you do that, dear. Phone call's a bit of a luxury in here, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I had to insist on a private phone.
What?
A phone?
In your cell?
Great chance you got. Reckon I can still hear him laughing now.
On the contrary, I expect it to be installed immediately.
You serious?
Yes. Of course, there's quite a bit of resistance at first, but a little pressure in the right areas soon overcame that.
Won't do you any good. They'll be listening into every word you say.
I realise that. I'm not stupid. There are ways of phrasing things so that only the right people can understand what you say.
Wow, secret codes, just like in the movies.
Yes, Nora.
Oh, you love all right now?
A lot better than all right.
Hey, what happened to you? You look as though you've been paroled or something.
A lot better than that, too.
The one thing I've always wanted, more than anything, for the past 20 years. I finally got myself pregnant.
Nora!
May I come in?
Sure. What can I do for you?
I brought you these.
I've heard about your handouts. What are you trying to do?
Nothing. I can get the stuff in so I can afford to be generous. No strings attached.
No, thanks. I'm trying to give them up.
I'm not competing for your position, if that's what you're worried about.
It's not the position I'm worried about. It's the women that I care about.
That's understandable. But a little bit of makeup isn't going to hurt them, is it? I could help you if you'd let me.
Why?
Call it a friendly gesture.
Go on.
I'm not without influential friends. Shorter sentences can be arranged.
And what would you want in return?
I don't want anything. A woman of your abilities could be very useful in my husband's organization. He pays intelligent people very well.
Forget it. Your husband's organization nearly killed my daughter.
Pardon?
Heroin. I mean, that's what he's all about, isn't it? That's what's bought you the fur coats and the cars and the houses and the cigarettes.
I know that's what the papers say.
Papers be buggered. When it comes to drugs, he's the man, he's the biggest, and everybody knows it.
No. I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't interfere with my husband's work. Myra, I'm sorry about your daughter. But you see, he's my husband. And I love him.
That's fair enough. We'll get along just fine. As long as your handouts don't include drugs.
Made your point.
Good. We understand each other.
There doesn't seem to be enough room for all my clothes.
Oh, no worries. I'll do it all during my rec period. How about the floor? What if I borrow a mop and...
Why, Miss Ferguson? Nice of you to visit. Did you find what you were looking for?
The cell's a mess, Ballinger.
Isn't it? I was just telling Daphne the same thing. But you needn't worry. It'll be cleaned up before lunch. You can go. I'll see you later.
Got expensive taste, Ballinger.
Why not? I can afford it.
Obviously, you've got the women on side. I mean, normally they'd have a field day with all this junk lying around.
It's all in the way you handle them. Some you can buy, some you can bluff, some... Well, there are ways of fixing the others. I imagine that there are quite a few that you'd like to fix in here.
Keep talking.
Desmond's quite a lady. Got a brain. Well, she must have, otherwise she wouldn't have been able to frame you, would she? But Kelly, well, she wouldn't be a problem at all.
What are you saying, Ballinger?
I'm saying that we can help each other. Crudely, I suppose. But it seems to be the accepted form of communication in here.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought you needed any help. I mean, you just snap your fingers and everything's delivered to your door.
Not always. There are a few little items I'm having difficulty with. Items that could get your friend Desmond into heaps of trouble. Of course, I'd need your help. It's up to you.
Be careful, Ballinger. There are lots of officers who could take that sort of talk the wrong way.
There you go, love. All fixed. Now, if you have any problems, just give us a yell.
Thank you, Inspector. Did I say Inspector? I'm sorry. It's just that you remind me of someone. It's Terry, isn't it?
Come on, let's go.
Yeah. I'll see you.
Ruth! Oh, thanks for the plants. I promise I'll look after them and anything you want me to do for you ever.
Stop. It's all right. I'm glad you like them.
Oh, they're really great.
What are you doing here, Graham? Why aren't you in the laundry?
She came to thank me for some plants I'd given her.
Is that so? When you're on a charge, you should have done that in the rec period. In future, you stay in the designated areas. Now, get out.
Very impressive. You do take your work seriously, don't you?
Yes.
I imagine women like Myra Desmond must really irk you. The offer's still open to fix her, you know.
I'll think about it.
I heard you were looking for me.
Yes. Why don't you come in?
No.
Freak's on the prowl. I'm not copping a charge.
Yes, she does seem to be handing them out today.
Well, what do you want?
To apologise. I shouldn't have hit you the other day. I'm sorry. It's just that I'm missing my husband and I tend to get a bit touchy.
Fair enough.
There is something else I wanted to talk to you about.
What?
Is it safe to talk out here?
Yeah?
Well, would you be interested in doing something for me?
Well, it depends.
It's not going to get you into trouble, and I'll make it worth your while.
Like what?
I want the names of everyone soon to be released, but I only want to know about the young, attractive ones.
Oh, sure. Patterson and Graham don't have long to go in this block. There's quite a few in D block.
Good. Get me a list as soon as you can. You're going to use them as pros or drug running? That's none of your business. What is the situation with drugs in here?
Well, there ain't none. Visitors can sometimes get them in. Desmond's got a nose for them. No dice as far as she's concerned.
But if the grass came in, would there be a market?
Oh, you bet.
And the hard stuff?
Look, the girls in here are desperate for anything. You get it in and I'll flog it for you.
Good.
But you've got to get it round Desmond.
But if it's only harmless grass, she can't object, can she?
She will.
Well, I'll have to convince her it's good for the women, won't I?
Ballinger, the governor will see you now. And you two after lunch.
Fingers crossed.
These gentlemen tell me the telephone's now ready for use.
And this is the handing over of the key ceremony, correct?
It's not quite that simple, Mrs. Ballinger, if I may. We made a deal. Remember? We get some names and you get the key.
I remember saying I'd think about it. I don't recall it being a condition.
That phone can come out just as easily as it went in, Mrs. Ballinger. Plus all of your other little comforts.
That's right. And we can still make things difficult for you over those drug charges.
That's not the version my lawyer gave me.
Are you going to cooperate with the police or not?
Why not? I'll give them 2 names, 1 each.
Come off it. You must be able to rattle off a good dozen without even thinking.
Not for a few luxuries and 1 telephone, I can't. It has got ISD, hasn't it?
Just give them the names.
Let's start with Mickey Bentwell. And then there's Jerry Galano, also known as Gigi, or the horse, as we like to call him. Try the South Wharf at 8 o'clock tonight. I hear there's a shipment of laundered money coming in from Hong Kong. The key?
For a couple of small-time operators like those two, you'll have to do better than that, Mrs. Ballinger.
I don't have to do anything. Who knows? I might be able to remember some names later on, after I've had use of the phone.
Don't be too long remembering, eh?
I needn't remind you of the penalty for allowing any other women to use that phone.
Penalties, Mrs. Reynolds? I wouldn't say that too loudly in front of these 2 gentlemen if I were you. They might think you're not looking after me.
While you're under my jurisdiction, you'll be subject to the same penalties and punishments as everyone else. Is that clear?
Whatever you say.
Would you ask Mrs. Morris to come in, please?
I'll be expecting those names.
Take Ballinger back, would you, Mrs. Morris?
This way, Ballinger.
God, the woman's making fools of all of us.
The main thing is we're making some progress. You mind if I make a call?
Why not? Everyone else is.
Speak of the devil. Can't stand honest competition. That's her trouble.
How'd you go? All hooked up. I'll be happy to pass on messages to anyone in the outside world if anyone's interested.
I thought I'd seen everything. Congratulations.
I'll get your lunch for you, Ruth.
Don't bother, I had something to sell on the way back.
Did you manage to get a chance to put in a word for Daffy and me?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I did.
And?
It was like talking to a brick wall. Of course, she wouldn't listen. She threatened to put me on a charge if I kept pushing. I'm sorry.
Thanks anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks, Edison.
Maybe I should have had 1 more go.
No, you did all you could. Quite frankly, I don't think it should have been left to you in the first place.
Naturally, I thought I should let my lawyer know first.
How private is this telephone of yours?
Let's just say it's not as private as one would like.
Company?
Can't have everything. I thought I'd ring Brazil tonight, see how Arnie is. Seems a good way to kill a few hours, especially as the government's picking up the tab.
Well, it's nice to see them caring so much about their prisoners' welfare.
My sentiments exactly. I have a few phone calls to make, so I'll get in touch with you later.
Fine.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Boys, you better tell your chiefs to keep their wallets open. There's going to be quite a phone bill.
Like Patterson and Graham.
Seems thorough enough. You look uncomfortable. Why don't you sit down?
Sure. Not bad. Must be really something sleeping on one of these every night.
It's adequate. Did anyone ask you what the information was for?
Oh, just Desmond. But she's yesterday's news anyway.
What did you say?
Well, I kept my mouth shut. Just like you told me.
Good. This stuff's worth $50 an ounce in Paris.
Thanks.
Something the matter?
Well, don't get me wrong, but it's just that I don't reckon I'm the perfume type, that's all.
So, sell it to someone who is.
Yeah, smart thinking. So what happens now?
That's my business. Just make sure you forget this meeting ever took place.
Look, listen, if you need someone for
If
distribution...
I need you, I'll send for you.
Whatever you say.